This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on what your kids are spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely. And parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/iHeart.
Want to feel more creative but don't have the right laptop? Lenovo.com can help. Look through our legendary lineup of AI-powered PCs and devices and find the one that fits your passion. Our PCs powered by Intel Core Ultra processors, as well as cutting-edge AI tools, allow students to focus, learn, and create with ease. That's the power of Lenovo with Intel inside. Plus, college students and teachers can get 5% off their order. Shop now on Lenovo.com. The future's waiting, and it needs you.
You know what's great about your investment account with the big guys? It's actually a time machine. Log in and zoom. Welcome back to 1999. It's time for an upgrade. At Public.com, you can invest in almost everything. Stocks, bonds, options, and more. You could even put your cash to work at an industry-leading 4.1% APY. Leave your clunky, outdated platform behind at Public.com. Go to Public.com and fund your account in 5 minutes or less. Paid for by Public Investing, Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Full disclosures at Public.com/disclosures.
Head back to the 50s at the Minnesota Street Rod Association event, June 20th through the 22nd at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds. Enjoy the classic car marketplace, T6 flyover, the great race, cruise and art craft fair, and so much more. Head over to our contest page for your shot at a pair of tickets. That's KFAN.com, keyword contest to enter.
Think about it, dude. Just like his old man repeating 2-year-old stories. Calls me up. Yeah, did you hear about this? And then I, of course, I don't double check his sources, and it's a 2-year-old story. Like father, like son, as we like to say. Started at 1 o'clock hour. It's time for 5, 3, 4.
Time now for 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Question number 1. And now it's time to go between the pipes.
The Florida Panthers routed the Edmonton Oilers 6-1 last night to take a 2-1 series lead. Brad Marchand became the oldest player to score in each of the first 3 games of a final, while Sam Bennett added his NHL playoff leading 14th goal. Oilers goalie Stuart Skinner got pulled after allowing 5 goals on 23 shots. Common, your thoughts?
I think I have money coming my way if it continues, right? I think I made a bet.
You got Florida?
Yeah, I took Florida. He took Edmonton. And here's what happens when you bet for reasons where you don't really analyze the 2 teams that are playing. Take a look at the sabermetrics and analytics like I do. And he was because he's just didn't want a team from Florida. Said he hates Miami, hates everything about down south. Because, he's one of those guys that thinks, well, hockey's played in the cold weather climate, so he wants a Canadian team to win. And, if you ask me, I really don't care who wins. But if you said you have to pick a team you'd like to win, I guess I would take a winner team as well from Canada.
Well, you love the USA.
Well, I bet smart. If I'm betting
you don't
money,
bet with your heart like
right,
he does.
I'm betting with my head, and I realize that I believe that the Panthers are a superior team, and right now they have a 2-1 lead.
Question number 2.
We're gonna win, Twins, we're gonna score.
It's now time to delve deep into Twins territory.
Crack out a home run, shout a hit, hooray! Cheer for the Minnesota Twins today.
There's a column at ESPN.com today about what every MLB team needs to do before the trade deadline. For the Twins, they wrote, things have really ticked up for the Twins since the last stock watch. The good vibes have faded a bit recently because of 2 rotation injuries. Shoulder maladies for Pablo Lopez and Zebby Matthews. Of course, Lopez's injury is the more jarring, both for its impact and its severity. Now, rather than juggling the number 5 rotation slot between Matthews, Simeon, Woods, Richardson, and David Festa, Woods, Richardson, and Festa have apparently ascended to the core group. Let's face it, the Twins aren't likely to make a splashy, hence pricey acquisition, but perhaps a lower-end rotation stabilizer might be doable. Common, do you agree with what the Twins need to do before the deadline?
It's actually draining. Talking about draining morale. Yeah. My morale as a Twins fan was drained years and years and years ago. I don't think there's a chance of them really doing either one. I don't think they will, particularly when they are actively, I believe, it sounds this way. Everybody seems to. Rosen keeps saying that and other places I've read, the Twins are serious about selling the team. They've had conversations with a lot of people about it. So I don't know why all of a sudden they would go, our last hurrah with the club, let's go ahead and make they're certainly not going to make a blockbuster move. I'll leave town if they do. And, a minor move, what's a minor move? Do they get a guy who's like on a team that's out of it and he's like their second best pitcher and he's like, 3-8 with a 4.36 ERA? And we go, well, he can bolster. So no, guys like that are all over the league. So that wouldn't do a lot for me. I would just rather wait for Pablo to get back than to go that route. But I guess put it this way, you get Pablo back, that's like making a trade. So I don't.
It is deflating, though, that like a story like this, that we just go into it going, well, they're not likely to make a splashy move. Just once make a splashy move, including like when you are without Pablo for as long as you are potentially going to be, it'd be nice to A, have someone to fill in for him at a comparable level, and B, once he comes back, you're loaded. You got Pablo, you got Joe Ryan, you got somebody else's really, really good pitcher. Right. Now you're ready to pitch in a playoff series.
It's wishful thinking. Yeah, it's in a perfect world. That's what you'd like to see, but you're right. It's not going to happen. So, yeah, I don't. Until they actually make some kind of, it's like, what should they do? Well, I think most of us know what we'd like them to do, but I don't think they think the same way. They haven't done so in how many years? How many years have the Pollard owned it since '84? Right? They've not made. I know they've made a couple of trade deadline acquisitions that have worked for them. They got, who was the
Shannon Stewart?
The Shannon Stewart one that was nice. Okay, that was great. And there's probably been
they've never acquired a big time pitcher at the deadline.
No, and so that's why I don't expect that to happen anytime soon either.
Question number 3.
Social media abuse targeting student athletes, including from sports bettors, decreased during March Madness. But tournament officials and coaches experienced a spike in harassment, according to study results released Tuesday by the NCAA. Athletes were targeted in 15% of the abuse flagged by data science firm Signify Group during the men's and women's basketball tournaments this year. That's down from 42% last year. Sports betting-related abuse dropped by 23%, the study found. Social media abuse directed at participants in the women's tournament decreased 83%, but the men's side saw a 140% increase in harassment, much of it directed at the selection committee and coaches. Common, your thoughts?
It's sports is your whole life, just sports. These are people that, first of all, they need long-term psychiatric care, and then even then there's probably very little hope. Much of their free time is spent consuming sports, and they have a voracious appetite for them, and they have their favorite teams that basically, like for me, Tenneby, this is my own personal golf game. I've said this before. I'm as happy as I've been in a long time, both as a player and just as a person. Because
I'm happy that you're happy.
Yeah, because how I play golf affects my mood. I mean, it doesn't keep me, I'm not bitter all day long, but I'm just not happy with where. So there are people out there when it comes to when their team, whether it's a football team, baseball team, hockey, whatever, university, pro, when they're playing well, they're very happy. When they're not, they're depressed. And then when things go wrong, they want to point the finger at somebody. They're looking for a fall guy. So the selection committee, if their team doesn't get selected, they lash out with vitriol, oftentimes vulgar language, even threatening language. And it's really sad is what it is. And if it's just say it's basically down, it sounded like with the men's, it was up 140% or whatever it was. But I don't understand it. I've watched games where you lose a heartbreaking game and a player for the team you're rooting for makes a boneheaded play, but I'm not going to send him a threatening message to his Twitter account.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, I just don't understand it. But some people
are. A lot of people that are unhappy with themselves.
Unhappy with themselves.
And they take it out on others.
And they also have, I really do think they have psychological issues is what they have.
And that's it for today's edition of 5 Questions. Well, actually 3 questions, but 5 sounds like more than 4.
Tomorrow on Rock Talk, we'll take a deep dive into the life and times of Sly Stone. His given name at birth was Sylvester Stewart. He was the front man for Sly and the Family Stone. I'm sure you heard about his death, Tenneby, and there were people that got confused and they saw Sly Stone. They thought it was Sylvester Stallone had died. It wasn't Sylvester Stallone, it was Sly Stone. We'll talk about him tomorrow in depth with Brian Oak tomorrow. That's at 1:30 for Rock Talk. Rosen's about 40 minutes away here in the Fan.
This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on what your kids are spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started risk-free at greenlight.com/iHeart.
And here we have a specimen from the early 2000s, a legacy investing platform. Please don't touch the exhibit, folks. It could crash.
Ready to step out of the financial history museum? At public.com, you can invest in almost everything. Stocks, bonds, options, and more. You could even put your cash to work at an industry-leading 4.1% APY. Leave your clunky, outdated platform behind. Go to public.com and fund your account in 5 minutes or less. Paid for by Public Investing Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Full disclosures at public.com/disclosures.
Unlock smarter learning with Lenovo AI-powered PCs powered by Intel Core Ultra processors. Head to Lenovo.com and choose from multiple devices to fit your passions. If you're a gamer, you can spend less time stressing about GPUs and CPUs and more time dominating with your AI-enabled Smart Engine, which optimizes your game performance in real time. Or maybe you're a scientist on the verge of a groundbreaking discovery and need a device with a longer battery life and AI-enhanced tools to give you extra time to finish your research. Or you're a musician preparing for your biggest break and need better, faster AI tools to make digital art a breeze, like creating band posters and t-shirt designs. Or you're a soon-to-be graduate needing to catch a recruiter's eye to land that dream job, so you need cutting-edge smart tools to build your portfolio from scratch. That's the power of Lenovo with Intel inside. Plus, college students and teachers get 5% off with an education account on Lenovo.com. A better future is waiting, and it needs you.
So you want to start a business. You might think you need a team of people and fancy tech skills, but you don't. You just need GoDaddy Aero. I'm Walton Goggins, and as an actor, I'm an expert in looking like I know what I'm doing, even when I don't. And I like the sound of starting my own business, Walton Goggins Goggle Glasses. But I'm an actor. I don't know what I'm doing. I needed help. GoDaddy Aero uses AI to create everything you need to grow a business. It'll make you a unique logo. It'll create a custom website. It'll write social posts for you and even set you up with a social media calendar. I didn't even realize I needed a social media calendar. GoDaddy Aero will take your idea that sounds good and make a business that looks like you know what you're doing. GoDaddy Aero can get your business up and running in minutes. You know what that sounds like? It sounds like a plan. Get started at GoDaddy.com/Aero. That's GoDaddy.com/AIRO.
Thanks to friends friends at Unreal, you can restock your wardrobe with Unreal Golf Apparel this year, just like Common. Register to win up to $1,000 in Unreal Golf Apparel on our contest page. One lucky winner will restock their closet with amazing golf apparel thanks to Unreal. That's KFAN.com. Keyword contest. Enter today.
When did the National Football League, I don't think it's the National Football League that coined the term, but I see it in NFL stories this time of the year all the time. Now they call them hold-ins instead of a holdout.
Yes.
And a hold-in is when you report, but you just kind of stand on the sideline.
But don't do anything.
Yeah.
Remember what T.J. Hawkinson did a couple years ago at training camp when he had the ear infection that apparently was 2 weeks?
Right, correct. Josh Metellus is kind of doing that, right? Isn't that what we talked about last week? Isn't that sort of the deal there? He's looking for some kind of an extension or more money, and the Vikings haven't really, they're kind of dragging their feet a little bit. That's what it sounded like to me. I hope I'm not misrepresenting the situation, but I could have swore that was what it was about, because remember we were talking about Metellus as one of those kind of a guys. He plays a lot of different positions. He's pretty important to the defense for B-Flow, and I think he'd like to, hey, what about me? Where's my big money contract? But I don't think he's gotten that yet. And I guess T.J. Watt is doing the same thing at Pittsburgh. Now, he did a hold-in before. This time he's doing a holdout. It says he skipped the start of mandatory minicamp today. They say he's likely eyeing a new deal. 7-time Pro Bowler and 2021 NFL Defensive Player of the Year signed a 4-year extension in September 2021 that was scheduled to pay him $112 million. It made him the highest paid defender in the league at the time. Story goes on to say, by the way, this is an Associated Press story by Will Graves, who writes football. It says that number's been eclipsed several times over the last 4 years, including by Cleveland star Myles Garrett, who signed a deal in March that made him the most well-compensated non-quarterback in the league at $40 million a season. The decision to skip minicamp is a change from Watt's approach in 2021 when he did a hold-in during both minicamp and training camp before agreeing to a contract on the eve of the regular season. Their defensive coordinator, Terrell Austin, said, "We expect him back at some point. We don't get caught up in that. He's going to be in good shape whenever he arrives." He turns 31 in October. The aforementioned Austin character believes Watt's absence will provide opportunities for younger players like third-year outside linebacker Nick Herbig and rookie Jack Sawyer. Watt tied an NFL record by registering 22.5 sacks after signing the extension in 2021. He led the league in sacks again in 2023, though that number dipped to 11.5 last season. Watt's fewest in a year in which he did miss extended time because of an injury since he was a rookie in 2017. Do we like Myles Garrett better? He's better, right? Or not? Myles Garrett.
I think they're comparable. I'm guessing Myles Garrett is much older.
Oh, he's much older. Okay.
I would guess.
All right.
I guess TJ's 30. I didn't realize he was that old.
Yeah. Well, I think we see it happen. I think ego gets involved quite a bit.
Myles Garrett's 29, so I was way off.
So I
was
you were wrong.
Wrong.
I think what happens a lot of times tend to be is it's not really about the money, it's what the money represents.
It is about what the money represents.
And so if you're is it TJ Watt or JJ? What's his initials? It's
TJ. JJ is retired.
Yeah. TJ, JJ. Left play. You're thinking you're worth more than he is, and so it's like you almost feel embarrassed. Well, why is he making more than me? Mm-hmm. I should be making more than him. The ego becomes involved, and I mean, I guess I understand that to a certain extent, right? If you think you're the best player at that position, and you've got, but that's just what happens. Like the next quarterback that signs going to be making more than, like where is Mahomes on the quarterback paid list? Highest paid quarterbacks. Maybe he is. Maybe he's recently signed. I don't pay as close attention.
I feel like he gave the organization a
bit of a discount,
like a hometown did, like Tom Brady did all those years.
Yeah.
When Mahomes was the first one to get like an astronomical contract, people were like, what are they doing?
Right.
And then it ended up just setting up a higher benchmark that the next quarterbacks just went over anyway.
Right,
so.
Correct. And that's my point, is that once one player reaches, pretty much at each position, once one player makes a certain amount of money, the next person it happened in the wide receiver stuff. Is JJ still our guy, Jets? Is he still the highest paid, or did Jamar Chase go over him by like $1 million a year?
By the way, Mahomes is tied for 14th at $45 million a year right now in salary. Prescott, Burrow, Josh Allen, Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence, Tua, your guy Goff, Brock Purdy now ahead of him, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson. And Kirk Cousins makes the exact same, at least on a yearly basis.
Right.
As Mahomes. Mahomes got a lot more years.
So, if you start, where would it end? If every player that thought, especially in the quarterback position, because you got 5 or 6 that can make a legitimate claim to being the best, right? There was probably some people that think Josh Allen is better than Pat Mahomes, just hasn't had the same tools around here, weapons around him, offensive coordinator, game plan. You can make arguments further. Joe Burrow's got a lot of talent. But if these guys start thinking, well, I got to make more than him, where would it stop? You just keep one-upping people all the time. So, but in many cases, really, in particular in pro sports, the player generally, he's holding all the cards. Pittsburgh doesn't want to go forward without Watt, right? They just want to play without him, I don't think. Unless they go, well, dude, you're getting a little old now. You're 30. They say that prime. I've always read, isn't it? Like most athletes in most sports, they think 27 is kind of that prime age.
Sure.
Regardless of the sport, that's at 27 years old. So now, if all of a sudden you're starting to get north of 30, they start saying, well, we're not sure if you're worth that kind of money anymore. And then you're right. There are players that will forego extra money, or not extra, but they'll forego a larger salary in order to help the team. Brady did it for years.
Yeah.
And I know that the joke was always, and maybe it wasn't a joke, but the line was always, well, when he has a model wife that's making more than he is, he doesn't need to make that much money. There's some truth to that. But I think regardless.
Well, he was also making so much off the field.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it was just his wife. I would have thought if all of them are making money off the field. Just if you're making 10, 12, 30, 40 million dollars, I'm making money, and I don't even make any money, but if you invest your money,
sure,
you're making money. So all of them are, but you're right. So I just think if it's for a lot of these,
I'm just saying other cash flow.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you start, if the ego gets in the way, you just want to be the highest paid player at your position, and then you handcuff your team and you can't. That's why I'm telling you, Major League Baseball, I know you're probably better off with a salary cap and a salary floor, but if I'm a player and I'm an owner that wants to win, I like having no salary cap, right?
If you're willing to spend, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I need another pitcher. I'm all in. And if you're a player, you're thinking, I don't want no salary cap on that.
No.
Why would I want that? Now, you probably want a salary floor. But there are baseball, there are minimum salaries and this and that and the other thing. So, but yeah. So you have holdouts and hold-ins.
Well, that's why the owners in the MLB don't want to change it, right?
Correct.
Because
I think so. I think that's why.
The teams you're talking about, the LA Dodgers of the world, the New York Yankees of the world, the New York Mets, they can spend whatever they want.
Yeah.
And then do we call them the Sacramento Athletics now?
Yeah.
The Tampa Bay Rays, the Cleveland Guardians, the Minnesota Twins, they like not having a floor.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that way, and that's but that is neither here nor there. Short break. We'll come back. I had a giveaway yet today, too. We've been talking that Ken B's been reading our vibes, is what we like to call them. James Taylor, live in concert. He's June 17th. He'll be at the Fuse Box. We'll give away a pair of tickets a little bit later here on the Common Man program. Controversial Vikings news next on the Fan.
You know what's great about your investment account with the big guys? It's actually a time machine. Log in and zoom. Welcome back to 1999. It's time for an upgrade. At public.com, you can invest in almost everything. Stocks, bonds, options, and more. You could even put your cash to work at an industry-leading 4.1% APY. Leave your clunky, outdated platform behind at public.com. Go to public.com and fund your account in 5 minutes or less. Paid for by Public Investing Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Full disclosures at public.com/disclosures.
Unlock smarter learning with Lenovo AI-powered PCs powered by Intel Core Ultra processors. Head to Lenovo.com and choose from multiple devices to fit your passions. If you're a gamer, you can spend less time stressing about GPUs and CPUs and more time dominating with your AI-enabled Smart Engine, which optimizes your game performance in real time. Or maybe you're a scientist on the verge of a groundbreaking discovery and need a device with a longer battery life and AI-enhanced tools to give you extra time to finish your research. Or you're a musician preparing for your biggest break and need better, faster AI tools to make digital art a breeze, like creating band posters and t-shirt designs. Or you're a soon-to-be graduate needing to catch a recruiter's eye to land that dream job, so you need cutting-edge smart tools to build your portfolio from scratch. That's the power of Lenovo with Intel inside. Plus, college students and teachers get 5% off with an education account on Lenovo.com. A better future is waiting, and it needs you.
So you want to start a business. You might think you need a team of people and fancy tech skills, but you don't. You just need GoDaddy Aero. I'm Walton Goggins, and as an actor, I'm an expert in looking like I know what I'm doing, even when I don't. And I like the sound of starting my own business, Walton Goggins Goggle Glasses. But I'm an actor. I don't know what I'm doing. I needed help. GoDaddy Aero uses AI to create everything you need to grow a business. It'll make you a unique logo. It'll create a custom website. It'll write social posts for you and even set you up with a social media calendar. I didn't even realize I needed a social media calendar. GoDaddy Aero will take your idea that sounds good and make a business that looks like you know what you're doing. GoDaddy Aero can get your business up and running in minutes. You know what that sounds like? It sounds like a plan. Get started at GoDaddy.com/Aero. That's GoDaddy.com/AIRO.
Couple of 13-14 past Common Man program. A number of ways to contact us here at the Fan. 1-800-320-5326 is our phone number. 1-800-320-5326. If you call it, more than likely you'll hear that ding. What's that like when a phone's disconnected? It'll go ding, ding, ding. That's not quite the sound I'm looking for, but you know what I'm saying. Then it'll say, I'm sorry, the number you are trying to reach has been disconnected or is temporarily out of service. That's what you'll find if you call 1-800-320-5326. There's the our email address, booth@kfan.com. Talkbacks, iHeartRadio app, download your favorite stations, including the Fan, and then go microphone icon, corner of the screen, tap it 30 seconds or less to deliver us a audio message. And then there's the ever-popular Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. This one says Jamar Chase makes $40.25 million a year. Jets makes 35. CD 34. DK Metcalf 33. AJ Brown 32. Amon-Ra St. Brown 30.0025. Ayuk makes 30 mil. Tyreek Hill makes 30. T. Higgins makes 28.75. We'll go with this as accurate. Other than Jamar, like over $5 million more a year than our guy Jets, all of them seem to be just $1 million more than the guy before. Got to make more than he is. Agent makes that demand. We need to have more than he needs to be the highest paid wide receiver in pro football. Okay, well, what's the highest paid? The highest paid right now is $35 million. Well, we'll give you 36. Okay, we're in. So it seems like the negotiating doesn't appear to be too difficult.
I will say, because I believe the CD Lamb contract was after Justin Jefferson, correct?
Yeah, he may have taken
if I recall,
less, yeah.
if my memory, and I've already been wrong once on the show, but I would give credit if that is the case that JJ signed first and then CD Lamb signed after him, and him and his agent said, "Yeah, we probably shouldn't make JJ money, so let's go $1 million." Yeah. I would give him credit for that.
Yeah, I mean there are players at positions where even though they're signing the newest deal after the richest guy doesn't mean they should be the richest. That's for sure. Do you have the open ready?
I do.
Mayday, mayday, mayday. Mayday, mayday, mayday. Time now for another edition of Mayday in Green Bay. An inside esoteric analysis of the Aaron Rodgers crisis in Titletown, USA.
All right, we realize he no longer plays in Green Bay. As a matter of fact, he's 2 teams removed from there. He played for the Jets for a couple of years, or at least 1 year. He was injured the other year, and then he is now with the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a CBS Sports story by Shanna McCarriston. She writes football for CBS Sports. Reads as follows. Took future Hall of Fame quarterback Aaron Rodgers a while to land with the Pittsburgh Steelers, but now that he's all in. According to starting center Zach Frazier, the team's new quarterback addressed the team on Tuesday at the start of minicamp and had an encouraging message for his new teammates. Frazier said, he just said he's all in. He's ready to get to work. That was the main message. He's all and ready to go from now on. When asked what the offense can be with Rodgers, Frazier said, sky's the limit. The goal is to put up a lot of points every game. That's what we're here to do. Steelers began Otis without Rodgers, but Frazier added that Rodgers' history in the league should help with the transition. He says, we'll see. I'm sure we'll get it off the ground in training camp, but hopefully not very long. He's played a lot, so it shouldn't take very long. Frazier said, myself as a younger kid would be pretty... let me read the paragraph before. That's what leads up to this. Sorry. 23-year-old entering his second year in the league and is about to snap the ball to a Super Bowl champion after playing with Russ Wilson last year. Myself as a younger kid, I'd be pretty excited about that. I mean, I am too, but yeah, it's pretty cool, he said about playing with 2 big-name quarterbacks over this year. So over the last 2 years. So, again... I'm not sure what to make of that. I'm all in. I mean, I would hope he's all in, right? I mean, that should be actually, that should go without being said.
It should be a requirement.
Yeah, it's like I'm all in instead of like, I'm just here to collect a paycheck and get out. So sometimes you might get a lot from me. Other times, if I feel like the game's over, I'm out. So that's probably what you want to hear from Rodgers. And I don't know. I'm torn. Look, we just talked about it last. We've talked about it last hour, but we've talked about it on and off about when there was a flirtation, or at least it seemed that there was a flirtation between the Vikings and Aaron Rodgers. It was addressed last week. We played the soundbite. Chris Hockey, the Mike Wallace of the Fan, basically asked the tough question of KOC when he said, look, I don't want to have to ask you this, but I got to do my job. And then he basically said, did you have a conversation with Aaron Rodgers? And then KOC answered the question. And it was basically a lot of coach speak, a minute and a half, almost 2-minute answer. And he said, yeah, we talked. We've been pals for a long time. We just talked what it would be like if you played here. And then they kind of just parted ways, and obviously no deal was consummated. And we're now in the situation where it's McCarthy will be our starting quarterback barring an injury, and Rodgers will be in Pittsburgh. And look, you and I discussed this. I think from a media standpoint, having Rodgers here would have been fun. What is he going to say today? How is he going to perform week one and this and that? And, I can just imagine He drops back for the first time, throws to Hawkinson, and Hawkinson drops the ball, and then Rodgers does the old rolls his eyes, all bitter. I mean, I actually learned to come to an. Anytime Rodgers was annoyed, I liked it. I guess it made me it tickled my fancy. I guess so. It would have been great from a media standpoint. I really do. It's tempting. It's I guess it's different from Jair Alexander because they're two players on different levels. Alexander was a Pro Bowler, but he's not a future Hall of Famer, at least not at this point. But when you look at Alexander, you go, yeah, may as well take a flyer on him. What the hell? If he has top 10 talent at defensive back, it's just can he stay healthy, and does he have an interest in playing? With Rodgers, he's a future Hall of Famer. He's just quite a bit further down the road in his career, and at 41, some guys begin to lose it. But and as much as I don't like Rodgers' attitude, and I think a lot of people are turned off by that, it's tantalizing to think about if he could somehow return to the thrilling, because he was a terrific quarterback. I think there were times where he liked pointing the finger when things didn't go right. If you remember the one where was the one where he threw the ball or didn't throw up the playoff game where then he blamed LaFleur by basically going, well, if I would have known we weren't going to go for it on fourth down.
He ended up running and going down to a knee.
Right.
Yeah.
And he basically, so if I, almost like, well, if the coach would have let me know what we were planning to do, if we failed or succeeded on the next play, or he didn't have the guts to want to go for it. And, when guys do that, when they're protecting themselves, and instead of, and he's, if you watched any of his, and I watched a handful of his post-game news conferences last year, he would do the old, I had a couple bad throws, he would throw that in there, but it almost seemed like he was just doing it because, well, I got to say that because I don't want to look like too big of a Richard. I don't want to look like, I can't act like none of it was my fault, but I don't believe he believes it is ever his fault, that it's always it's on a member of the coaching staff, it's on a teammate. It certainly can't be me. I'm Aaron Rodgers. But I tell you, it would have been if he could play like he has in the past. I just don't know if he has it. He could make a difference for a lot of teams, and he could have made a difference for the Vikings, I believe. But at the end of the day, I guess when you've traded up, he's the 10th pick overall, you're excited to move on. The Fowler thing that we talked about earlier, where Jeremy Fowler basically said that, the Vikings, what his sources tell him is the Vikings decided, we got about a 3-year window here. We have a quarterback we believe in under a rookie contract. It's just time to make that move. And I don't necessarily say that's a bad idea. It's I go back to the Miami's quarterback for Marino. The infamous quote from Marino. He went to the big game in his second year, and he said later on after he retired, he said, "Yeah, I thought we were going to go back a whole bunch of times." They never went back again. So if you pass on a guy who has the pedigree and the resume of a guy like Rodgers because you're ready to move on to the McCarthy era and you think you have a 3-year window, what if McCarthy takes more than a year? What if he takes a couple of years? What if he's not any good? And then there would be some, and hindsight is always 20/20. If McCarthy's brilliant, leads the Vikings to playoff appearances, to playoff victories, heaven forbid he wins a big game, all would be forgotten, Aaron who. But if let's say Rodgers and the Steelers do really well and Rodgers returns to the thrilling days of yesteryear and McCarthy struggles a bit, there will be some second guess. I know I'll be second guessing because that's what we do in the media.
Sure.
But this is where we're at. So I'm anxious to see how good the kid is.
Of course. By the way, some Vikings news for today that just broke.
Okay.
Vikings Entertainment Network posted that Christian Darrisaw back on the field today at minicamp for the first time since tearing his ACL and MCL last fall. So Christian Darrisaw going through individual drills today.
Very good. So, yeah, it seems like...
Not that we were expecting him, to miss any portion of the season or anything, but still, positive news.
Aaron Rodgers is going to force feed DK Metcalf early in the year and then take a cheap shot at the Packers GM for not drafting in Green Bay. Would have been nice to have had him in Green Bay. DK was a second-round pick. The Packers passed on him 3 times, drafting Rashawn Gary, Darnell Savage, and Elgington Jenkins.
Yeah, he's there. He's guard turning into center this year.
I would not be surprised if DK has his best game as a pro when the Steelers face the Packers this year. Well, that is the that's always, that was another, I think it was in the Suhan piece about, he was talking about the pros and cons, mostly the pros of why you would want to sign Alexander. And there were plenty of them that I agreed with. And one of them being, much like when Favre signed with the Vikings, a lot of people felt it was due in large part to he knew he'd be able to face his former team again, the Packers. And I think there's something to that, right? You get up a little bit more for those games, maybe. You want to show the team, didn't need me anymore, huh? So, like, if Alexander were to be signed by the Vikings, you would know he would be okay. I'm going to show those Packers. I'm going to show that front office what they're missing out on. And you might get, some extra effort in those games. So the revenge factor, I think, is real in sports. Guys always feel like they've been dissed, that they've been overlooked, they've been put out to pasture, they've been discarded for whatever reason. So, yeah, the revenge factor thing is always... part of the game is always part of the game. But the revenge thing can be overrated too. I mean, you could want all the revenge in the world, but if the other team's got you figured out, it doesn't really matter how much revenge you have.
Yeah. If you're the quarterback, you can have a revenge idea, and then they're rushing you, and you have nowhere to go, and you're getting sacked. So
yeah.
I think at that level, for the most part, they're all engaged because they want to compete and they want to win games.
Did you watch the 6-1 beatdown?
I watched the third period of it, so unfortunately it was already 4-1 by the time I tuned in. But there were beatdowns, like physically at the end.
Were there really?
Edmonton, they were frustrated, so they were trying to resort to the goon stuff, trying to get in fights. Corey Perry, like 2-hand slashed Panthers player on the back of the legs.
Really?
Yeah.
What can I get Rosen going about now that my team's up 2-1?
Well, last night it looked like Florida was in the heads of the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's amazing how one little thing can change an entire series because, Edmonton wins game 1. Game 2, they score with 17 seconds left in regulation to force overtime. So, they are in overtime. They ended up losing in double overtime in game 2. But if they score an overtime goal there, this series is completely flipped on its head where they're up 2-0. They've got it. Not only up 2-0, which is hard to come back from, but you just have so much momentum because they blew a lead with 17 seconds left, right? It's just mentally, psychologically deflating. And all of a sudden, it's just flipped the other way. And Florida looked like a team that's won a Stanley Cup before, and Edmonton last night looked like a team that lost to that Florida team last year. And psychologically, they're not in a good spot. Now, sometimes it's good to just get your butt kicked like that because then it might help you respond a little bit better. But when you're resorting to physical tactics at the end of games, trying to get in fights, like I said, taking cheap shots, doing the goon stuff, that usually is a sign to me that mentally you're not in the right spot right now.
Yeah. Well, and you talk about how you rebound from you lose in overtime or heartbreaker. I mean, look what the Thunder did. They led, like we talked about in the first segment, and we talked about last week when they were up for 59 minutes. It's a 48-minute game. 47 minutes and 59.7 whatever it was, 0.3 when they hit the winning bucket. So oftentimes that's a gut punch, right? That'll take the wind out of your sails. And what happens? Thunder pretty much dominates start to finish. I mean, the Pacers kept it close for much of the game. If you call it close, I mean, they got behind by a fairly large margin, and then it just stayed there. It wasn't one of those 40-point losses like the Wolves suffered at the hands of the Thunder. But the Thunder losing at home in the first game, it didn't. Wasn't like that.
Game 2, they look like the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Exactly
we saw a lot in that Timberwolves series.
That's exactly right. So I got that. Oh, I still owe you money too, don't I? I've got
You owe me $4. $4? Yeah, $4. I forget now.
And I owe Rose in 10.
Yeah.
It might be my golf bag.
But did you guys bet on Flo Rida versus Edmonton?
Yes, we did.
You might get some of that back.
Yeah, I might get some of that back, yeah. But I've got the money here somewhere. I'll get it to you, Checks in the mail. You've heard that before, right? Checks in the mail. I've got, I think it might be my golf bag, and I conveniently left that at home. So we'll do that. Common, I know the morning Grumbros can get a little ducky and bunny here and there, but on Friday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., the Power Trip turning into the Power Trip with the PA. Power Trip. Because the spirit of PA entered the soul of Cove, Hawk, and Sauce and must have possessed each one of them. The idolization.
I always love that one.
And pedestalization of our dear leader, KOC, would have had you thinking you were turning in to sports is your whole life. Just sports. Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard they did. They have a welcome to KFAN coach Kevin. That's all good. I mean, he's a nice guy, it seems like, right?
Yeah, he's a very nice guy.
Very nice guy. He said I'd be the punter on it. He was doing some comparisons of what each member of the KFAN air staff would be on a football team, and I was punter. Which, as I said then, and I'll say it again, I think that's exactly what the station had in mind when it hired me. They didn't know what to do to noon to 3, so they said, let's just punt. So that probably makes a little bit of sense.
They should have said you're more like the backup quarterback that comes in a blowout and takes the knee at the end of the game.
We do that. We do that every Friday for sure. Let's do this. We'll take a break, and the legendary Mark Rosen will join us here in studio. Common Man program on the Fan.
Let your imagination take flight with an AI-powered PC from Lenovo. Whether it's creating digital art, designing new software, or building a portfolio for a future career, our PCs are powered by Intel Core Ultra processors to help students unlock smarter learning and unleash their creativity. That's the power of Lenovo with Intel inside. All you have to do is choose the one that fits your passion. Head to Lenovo.com to shop AI PCs and find your perfect companion. Plus, get 5% off when you create an education account.
And here we have a specimen from the early 2000s, a legacy investing platform. Please don't touch the exhibit, folks. It could crash.
Ready to step out of the financial history museum? At Public.com, you can invest in almost everything. Stocks, bonds, options, and more. You could even put your cash to work at an industry-leading 4.1% APY. Leave your clunky, outdated platform behind. Go to Public.com and fund your account in 5 minutes or less. Paid for by Public Investing Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Full disclosures at Public.com/disclosures.
You know, some people say that Odoo business management software is like fertilizer, the way it promotes growth and all. But other people say Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable. And there's some people who would even say Odoo's individual software programs come together to build the perfect suite like building blocks. Well, Odoo is all of these things. Fertilizer, magic beanstalk, building blocks for business. So sign up now at odoo.com, ODOO.com.